Mm-hmm. Yep. We live. Yeah.
Cut off. Hey, cut off anyway. Hey, welcome to another great Head Kicks and Haymakers show. I am Bodkins. Of course, joining me always every Wednesday night is my main man, Wit. Wit, what's good, baby?
What's going on, man? Another week of good fights. Some great stuff happened last week. We're gonna get into it, man. Okay, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. We'll start with the UFC. It was a great night of fights, like all the way from UFC to the boxing to the BKFC. Actually, before we get to the fights, man, we got to talk a little bit of the pre-fight before the fight, right? And we get into the Bobby Green, Arman Sarukian stuff. So if you missed it, folks, like I think it was before the weigh-ins, maybe Friday afternoon or maybe after the weigh-ins. Bobby Green's just kind of chilling on his phone, and here comes Arman Sarukian and his gang. I think that was Thursday night, actually. They rolled up, and, you know, from what Arman said in an interview, he said, I was just trying to tell Bobby to keep my name out of his mouth. He stood up and said, what's up? You know, kind of pushed Arman. Arman pushed him back. You know, Bobby Green didn't back down from all five of them.
Right.
And then after that, Bobby Green rolls up with his buddies, and then you see Arman's guys just scattering around the hotel running like a bunch of scared bitches. I mean, that's the best way to say it. With what's your thoughts on the pre-fight before we even got to the fights?
I was wondering what was happening because everybody's got their own crew. You know, everybody's walking around the hotel, and they all are together at these events. So I'm thinking he's going. You know, Arman Sarukian is going to tell him, hey man, you know, you did good, but you can kind of hear in his accent, he's like, hey, you said my name. I'm like, what? And Bobby is like, bro, who? Come on. So I think that was kind of like the fight before the fight, like you said. But, you know, it was kind of funny to see like a video, like the video, I think 2 hours or an hour later with me and you were texting. And then that's the one where Bobby Green's in the lobby swinging. You can hear the guy that does, come on, guys, no, come on. It was.
They had different energy when Bobby rolled up on them with a couple of homeboys. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep that same energy that you had when it was 5 versus 1, but you didn't have it when the odds were even.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, if you watch one of the ones that I saw, Sarukian like either pushes Bobby Green, and his hand is so close to his chin, it almost looks like he slapped him in the bottom of the mouth. So and then they get separated. So I know Bobby was gonna, you know, want to bring the heat later on. So it gave us us fight fans like a lot to look forward to. Even though it wasn't those two in the ring, it made me go, oh yeah, I gotta see how this plays out.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping either they would both win and they would match up later just to kind of keep the beef going, or they both lose, you know, and they could keep the beef going. But now it seems like Arman Sarukian, and we'll start there on Saturday night. Kind of put him in his rearview mirror, and most importantly, put Beneil Dariush in the rearview mirror as he knocks out Beneil in about 60 seconds. With a nice, the fake knee to the body, and then hits him with the right, to the face, and down goes Boring Beneil. I told you, Boring Beneil wasn't going to last here last week. Sarukian, what was your thoughts on the fight, and what's your thoughts on Sarukian? Is he a major player here at the 155?
Big shouts out to Above the Ring. We see you. We're in the building. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head Kicks and Haymakers. We're gonna do this all the time. But coming into the fight, we talked about it last week. Everybody, including myself, and DC mentioned it. I'm thinking it's gonna be a bit of a struggle fit. You know what I'm saying? Two guys on top of each other, but Arman Sarukian is clearly a bigger fighter than Beneil Dariush. And coming into the fight, I'm thinking in my mind, man, he looks like he's swinging for the fences, you know. And sure enough, the knee clearly whiffed. He clearly whiffed the knee to the head, but that made Dariush pick his head up and put his chin square in the crosshairs for Dariush to land that right. and take him out. And and luckily it wasn't like the ref before with the.
We'll get to that in just a second. The Jalen Turner and luckily that fight was stopped. But who do you think should be next for Sarukian? And do you see this guy as like a future champ?
I'm looking at it, and to a degree, of course, we want to see a good matchup for the belt. But of course, we got maybe one more fight for the champ to have to go ahead and take on. And in between,
it would be a rematch too, because him and Islam fought a couple. They're both their kind of UFC debuts.
Was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
3 years ago or so, 2019. So we're looking at 4 years ago. Right. When that was Sarukian's UFC debut, took it on short notice and gave Islam everything he could handle then. Right. Kudos to Sarukian, too. He says he practiced that. They watched a bunch of tape and said, but anytime Beneil gets a leg to the body, he has to tell to drop his head down and kind of chin up, and they practiced that. So kudos to his team. But go ahead. Is he a player here? Are we worried about Sarukian being maybe a future lightweight champion?
I see it as him actually putting his stamp on the top 5, 6, 7 spot in division. Now, Islam is gonna, of course, have to do a defense somewhere within the next year, within the 2024, of course.
Yeah, him and Charles will match back up at some point.
Yeah, we got of course, we got Bronx already pretty much slated to go up against Islam, and if Islam comes out of that, having fought Bronx and beat him, we are going to have to see Sarukian as the next potential fighter. But of course, somewhere in between, Sarukian's got to put up or shut up and probably not take on any worthless fights, because that division is one of those ones where, look, hey, if you get your jaw tapped, you're out. And it'll be, we'll shuffle the top 5 again to see what happens. But don't get me wrong, I like the idea that everybody, probably including Beneil Dariush, thought about him coming in as this being a grapple fight, something that may go to the ground. And I love the fact that, this isn't the first time we've seen his hands get unleashed, but this was a crucial moment. All eyes were on him and Beneil Dariush.
In a main event, in Texas, and that was a great card Saturday. I do think Arman, I think he's got to get one more. He's ranked now number 4 after Saturday night. I got the rankings pulled up here. So it looks like the UFC is going to rematch Islam and Charles. But then why not do Arman versus Gaethje? Even Arman kind of called that, said he would like to fight that fight. Or even maybe Dustin Poirier. The problem with him and DP is they both go to ATT gym. Arman kind of does his training camps out of there. But I was watching an interview. He said he has all respect for DP, but would rather fight Gaethje just due to that. But that would have to get DP always says he needs something to kind of wake him up and get him out of bed. Will that be the one that does that? Is Arman that guy? And we'll find out, Hey,
look, man,
UFC 300 makes sense to me for both. DP wants UFC 300. Why not do him and Arman in a title eliminator? Winner probably gets a chance at the title.
I was just about to go there, and if somehow, some way, we might, if you throw Gaethje in the mix, he's kind of putting on that bad boy persona, right? Like after the Bobby Green incident in the hotel. Maybe we put up the BMF belt just for the hell of it or something.
That's what he called. That's what he said too. He said he wants to be double champ, BMF and lightweight champ by the end of 2024. So
I think that'd be great. Get him in the mix.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. It'll be interesting to see what they do. For Beneil, I kind of feel bad. He had 7 wins in a row, and now he's been knocked out brutally. The last 2 times out. I was kind of it's crazy with after Saturday, not one top 15 lightweight is booked. They don't have any single fight. So I know currently they've all just recently fought and some are injured. But for Beneil, I would like to see kind of him. Maybe he fights Fiziev on his fight back, or maybe the guy that just won Jalen Turner, who just beat Bobby Green. Turner's now 10. So Beneil's going to have to fight down at least again, because after coming off 2 losses, you're not going to fight up. And Jalen's coming off the big win against Bobby Green.
I was in that same mix because somewhere
Benoit Saint Denis. I would like to see Beneil and Benoit Saint Denis.
Saint Denis and Beneil. I was thinking was the one I got written down. Saint Denis, of course, we just saw the week before put on a really masterful performance. But of course, this will once again be a clash of a pairing of styles. Saint Denis, of course, does have the ground attack on deck, and as we can see, he can lay you out. But maybe they throw Big Jalen in there. I mean, in the press conference, he was kind of lackadaisical about his approach to the fight, but he went in, and we'll talk about that. But he went in there and meant business. So maybe that it gives a little bit of push to Dana to say, hey, okay, well, this guy won. You just had 2 losses. We'll give you one more top fight. And then we might see Jalen Turner slide up out of what you say, 15?
Jalen Turner is right now after Turner's 10.
10. Look at that. Hey,
I would like to see Benoit Saint Denis and Darush. Like Denis is 12, so that could even move on, or even Rentano Moicano, right around there. So, or maybe do Moicano and Bobby Green, who just lost. So that'd be interesting.
And to keep it real, man, I feel for Bobby Green, and we'll get into the fight, more so. It's one of those things where I've seen him, and I've watched a lot of some of his interviews leading up to the fight. He's such an emotional guy. I feel like that took him out of focus. Took him out. It put Dariush in his mind instead of Jalen Turner, who he kind of had to,
You mean Sarukian?
Sarukian, yeah, he put Sarukian in his mind, and instead of who he was facing that night, and maybe he was looking too far ahead and thinking, when I get finished with this guy, I'm gonna call this guy out. But
too much emotions, it seems like, right? Like going into fight week, and it wasn't his fault. The initial, the initiator was Sarukian, and unfortunately, Bobby Green got knocked out, and then. I mean, with that, to me, one of the worst stoppages, late stoppages I've ever seen. I mean, Bobby looked like he was out twice. We get on the refs for early stoppage, but man, Saturday night it was like, and the ref was like, he stood there. I didn't think didn't look like to me Bobby was protecting himself.
No.
It looked like Bobby was, getting his head kicked in twice, and it was knocked out twice.
It was a tough one to look at because, of course, just like with football, you go to the whistle blows, and when you're training, you're trained to go until the ref catches you or stops, or the stoppage happens, or you feel a tap. So without any knowledge of what's going on or whether he could get up or not, Jalen did what he was supposed to do. Now the ref might have been trying to give Bobby too much leeway, like, oh, come on, get up. But I personally watched it like several. Me and you were texting. I swear there was at least like 10 or 12 extra punches.
Oh, yeah. At least 10, 20. It was 30 good, almost 30, 40 seconds, which is a lifetime in a fight. Just where he's just eating shots after shots after shots. And kudos to Bobby getting up, and he seemed okay. You don't ever really know until the next one, right?
Right. And that's the thing, and I'm really a big proponent of exactly what we talked about when it comes to when you get knocked out, that form that you have from getting knocked out has to change. But Bobby Green is one of those fighters where he's a ring veteran. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. I don't see him coming back into another fight and having that be an issue. I think he bounces back from this one and comes into his next fight ready to go. But shouts out to Jalen Turner. Let's keep it real. He was, moments notice. We saw in the pre-fight, hey, I kept turning it down. I didn't want to do it, but maybe that was his way of, kind of putting us off a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe he was hyped to get it. Maybe he was prepared to fight. Maybe he was ready to knock him out, but he just, got in the press conference and, played possum on everybody and made it seem like he wasn't ready to do it. But for sure, he came in there He laid weight to Bobby Green. And for right now, we have to wait a whole nother year to see what's going to become of that matchup.
Yeah. Who do you think should be next for Jalen Turner? He didn't really call out anybody. He's at 10.
Too relaxed for me, man. He's too chill, man. He was even after the win. He looked real calm, come on, man. But look, he showed his sponsors. He got a lot of love. I'm in that vein of where, just like you mentioned, it's gonna be like a bit of a cluster right up there at the top. If you get Dariush if you get Dariush out there to maybe take him on, to give him something different to look at, because it's not a standard bang what Dariush is normally known for. So maybe with Bobby Green, we was expecting him to standard bang. Now let's test him out on the ground. Let's see if he's got more than one dimension to his fight game.
I think you're right. I think Dariush versus Jalen Wood, that would be a bad stylistic matchup for Turner, I feel like. But that makes sense. Like, you look at the rankings, like Dan Hooker's out. They fought and Dan beat him. Garcia is still kind of hurt. Maybe he gets Turner in his way back. He already lost to Gamrot, who's 6. Michael Chandler, we know, is waiting on Connor. Arman Sarukian's not going to fight down after coming off the win. And I don't think they're not going to have Dustin Poirier, who's at 3, fight all the way, down to 10. Unless Jalen fights down to like somebody like a Meccano, which I wouldn't mind, or an RDA type. Those are kind of, RDA is, 11. So maybe, we're looking at somebody like that. So I think it's either Dariush for me or Meccano or RDA.
I like right now when we sticking it with Dariush. That's more so right up the alley, because I know how we've seen how the fight makers and Dana like to get together and throw a guy off his game a little bit. So if they give Dariush another opportunity, I think that'd be great. I don't think, like you said, I don't think he gets to Dustin Poirier. That's too high up. Gaethje too high up. And of course Sarukian just won, and Sarukian is going to be right there getting ready to fight for the title. So we'll get a chance to see, but looks like it's Gamrot. No, maybe, but that might be right around that.
Well, he already lost to Gamrot last year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe somewhere in that division they like a little bit of parity. Dubrow's already lost to Islam. He's going to fight Islam again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe you do Gamrot, you do Jalen again. But that 10 to 5 is a nice little bridge where, look, if you get one of these wins, you make a statement, maybe you jump right in behind Sarukian in that whole mix. But we gotta wait till next year, and I'm excited to see it already.
Yeah, the last kind of major fight on that card, is Sean Brady handled business. I mean, he just mauled Kevin Gastelum. And then at one point I thought he was going to break Gastelum's arm, and then Gastelum finally tapped. I was like, Jesus, Gastelum just tapped, because I thought it was nasty. That Kimura was nasty.
Yeah, man. Kevin Gastelum, one of my favorite fighters to watch in the past, but of course he's moving weight classes. To see him look unprepared, kind of sort of, was a surprise. Like, it looked like, okay, you don't know that this guy is going to grind you into the mat, and somehow, some way, we didn't practice this. The whole fight read, we didn't practice this. I was ready to do this. You want to wrestle, okay?
Yeah.
But hey, you gotta give it up to guys who come in to the fight fully prepared. But big shouts out to Kevin Gastelum, man. It is his first fight in the division. New weight class. Sometimes they DC and the guys on the side, they brought it up in more ways than one to say, when you're moving up or down, sometimes you carry the strength with you, sometimes you lose it, and this almost looked like it, because I'm thinking Gastelum's a bigger guy, maybe he can get him off, maybe he can use some type of a big man agility to get him off of him, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, Sean Brady looked just as big, if not bigger, to me, in that fight. Who do you think should be next for Sean Brady? He kind of called out the winner of Ian Gary, Vincent Luque. But if you look at the rankings, Luque is 9, and Gary is 10. I don't really. And now Sean Brady's 7. So is he going to fight down again for the second time? I don't think so. I would actually like to see him fight in a return fight against Gilbert Burns at 4.
Well, when you talk about fight with Gilbert Burns at 4, that is one that, of course, even if it's not a main event, that's a co-main type of fight.
Yeah.
You know,
that could be a 5-round main event. That could be a fight night main event.
It could be a fight night main event or a pay-per-view co-main. I like the idea of that. It's a possibility because of the way that, and I'm trying to look at it. I had it up here scheduled. The way that the schedule was set up for next year, it's a possibility that exactly what you said could happen, where he may have to fight down again, just one fight. But I'm looking at it, and it's actually wide open for him. But we want to see somebody that he's not going to just end up mauling and grinding into the mat.
If you look at it from his standpoint, so we know Leon and Colby are about to fight next month, or next weekend actually.
Next weekend on the 16th. Yeah.
And then you got Shavkat and Wonder Boy on that same card. They're getting ready. They fight next week, and so does Ian Gary and Vincent Luque. So they all kind of fight right there, right next to each other.
Mm-hmm. And see, when we think about Vincent Luque, right, that would be one that I would like to, low key, hey. Why not give a dog a bone? You know what I mean? It's a competition in which, when two guys like that get in the ring, we're not expecting it to go all 4 or 5 rounds. But hell, who knows? And of course, we just seen the whole experience of which you can get on that mat and not come up. When you get into those deep waters, that is tough. So something like that, I would be expecting. I know we're talking about, when we're thinking about, a couple of maybe 3-4 months from now, there has to be just a couple of guys in the way, of course. But I really have to see what plays out, especially in maybe February or March, because we already pretty much got January slated. But but to see him in a co-main or a main on a fight night, I think that would be
and that would do, him and Burns would be great for a main event fight night. Like, sign me up for him and Burns in a main event fight night.
Yeah, bring Gilbert out, because we haven't seen Gil in a good minute anyway.
Yeah, well, he's been recovering from that injury since his last fight against Bilal. He said he's ready. He's about ready to go. He'd like his return February, March, April timeframe. So that kind of fits the time frame for Sean Brady. So let's do it, man. Let's book it, UFC. Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady main event fight night.
Let's do it, man. With that, hey, look, and I promise you, that's one that we will give you guys in the UFC for free, straight from Headkicks and Haymakers. We don't even need to tell you how to pay us this time. You can go ahead and take that.
Right. I do want to get your opinion on the return of Miesha Tate win. It's been a while since we saw Miesha, and she won. She called out Holly Holm to a rematch of, remember, a couple years ago, that was the women's bantamweight title fight, and Miesha won.
And Holly got it. And Holly's got the name in that division. You know what I'm saying?
Both of them do, right? They're both legends in entrepreneurs in this game.
Right. And Miesha Tate, Holly Holmes win. When there are certain names in just women's MMA period that hold weight. Miesha Tate, Holly Holmes, when we were talking last week about the women in PFL that are in that are fighting under that promotion, but those two are pretty much, it's like every 2 years they have to somehow clash. It's like magnets. Eventually they get close enough to each other. I like to see it. I can't wait. Of course, Holly Holmes, one of my favorite mixed martial artists, period, male or female. Every time we know she's going to bring the competition. Now, is there a fight in between that Miesha Tate may take before? Maybe. But once again, it's another one of those, pretty much January, February is pretty much set. Maybe we get her in March, April, and find out if she can.
Why not? Why not do that at UFC 300? Two old veterans who've been around, for a long time. Two former women bantamweight champs. Holly Holmes 5, Miesha Tate's 11. Why not? Why not do it? Why not do it at UFC 300? Like, we know that's going to be a bit, a huge. We're honoring the future and the past. So why not do two of the legends of the two women who helped build women's MMA?
Listen, man, this wouldn't be the first time where they had two co-mains. I would love something like that right there at the top. Let's go ahead and give Miesha Tate and Holly Holmes their just due, because hey, when it comes to women in MMA, they definitely deserve top billing. Maybe not. Main event, but co-main.
I mean, it could just be a good card on UFC 300. That could be the opener of the prelims. You know what I mean? Like, that could be the main event on the prelims. You know what I mean?
I could definitely see that. And shoot, man, we mess around with Holly Holmes and it'd be done quick.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And speaking of UFC 300, I don't know if you've been on Twitter or what X or whatever you want to call it. They allegedly tried to pay Ron. They've reached out to Ronda
Rousey, right?
Yeah, Ronda, Brock, and GSP at one point or another to see their interest in. Does any of those three pique your interest for a comeback fight? Because none of it really interests me. Like, I'm not interested in seeing any, like maybe Brock I'm a little interested in, like, as long as they're not giving him, like, if I think he could still handle it just because, he's just a super freak athlete. Definitely. I'm not really interested. I love GSP. I think he's the GOAT in this game. But I don't think that, like, I'm not interested in seeing him fight anybody. I think he's retired. I'm definitely not interested at all to see Ronda. I think they've just been away from the game too long. Even really Brock to some extent, but I think just Brock because of his size and a heavyweight, he's always fun to watch. So,
I mean, when you think about it and you say those names, man, like, those names have bring so much weight to any
10 years ago they were, you know what I mean? But
it's been so
long. It's been so long. I
was just about to say 5 years ago, Brock Lesnar. Yeah. GSP possibilities. Ronda Rousey still on a streak that was, pretty much insane. Nobody could have saw it coming, or saw once again Holly Holmes rear her ugly head and somehow land the head kick her around the world.
She ain't been the same since.
Never been the same. And for me, I think, and this is no knock on Ronda Rousey. I'm a huge fan of her transition from MMA into the world of the WWE. When you physically kind of lay out that landscape that I can't do it anymore, but like all of those things, I don't want to see Ronda Rousey. I would hate to see her lose. It would hurt my feelings. But GSP, I don't know. I'm not going, and I would never take anything away from a GOAT like GSP.
Yeah.
Does he even have the drive to come back?
I don't think he does.
I think he's doing TikTok, doing like stretches and
he's doing movies. He's got the hair now.
He's got the Jean-Claude Van Damme going.
Him and Nick Diaz were supposed to do like this grappling thing, just like a grappling match on what's that, UFC Fight Pass, but it didn't. I don't know if it just didn't come to fruition or Nick pulled out, got hurt and got pulled out. But they were supposed to do something, they just never did it. I don't mind seeing GSP do stuff like that, but I don't really need to see him back in the octagon. Like, like it's time to, and I don't think he has the drive, like you said.
Yeah, no, he's got, and I'm coming into seeing what he's been, after we saw some of that, I'm seeing how much of other things that GSP is into besides just the fight game right now. It's one of those things where he's making decent money. That drive that you might have had 10 years ago, 12 years ago, because GSP was great. You know what I'm saying? He might not have right now to come in there and knock a guy out. So I want to see GSP. Brock, let's think about it. Let's pick who you want to fight, Brock. You know what I'm saying? Who's in there? Because of course Brock has the power, Brock has the size, he has the name, he has the allure. I mean, could he go in there and try and take away the heavyweight interim title? I don't know.
You're not going to give him to Tom Aspinall, but you can give him somebody. I mean, him and Derek Lewis would be a fun fight, really. You know?
Okay. I like that one. Derek Lewis. What's my guy? Of course, everybody. And I hate saying it like this, but for some odd reason, Cyril Gahn is just one of those guys that just get thrown into the ring. Hey man, just take it, and he just gets thrown in there with anybody, and it doesn't look good. Volkov, maybe.
I'm looking at more of the kind of the guys like ranked 12 and under, like Jarzinho or somebody like that. Rodrigo de Lima, Marcin Tybura type. Mm-hmm. That's who I'm looking at to give to Brock Lesnar, or somebody like that.
My guy that just beat Derek Lewis, Houghton Almeida. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you want to wrestle? I give you the Brazilian big.
Oh man, you would give him number 7. I don't want to see that. I want those guys to fight like real contenders. I don't want Brock to fight a real contender. He can fight a bottom feeder. You know what I mean? Just feed somebody Brock Lesnar.
Just here, Brock.
I guess if you gave him Jonathan Almeida, like you're trying to build Almeida's name off of Lesnar. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy beat Brock Lesnar. Not very many people can do that. So.
Yeah, listen, the sky's the limit for the idea of Brock Lesnar fighting anybody. You know what I mean? And who knows? There could be some players out there that come up and say, "Hey, look, I'll take him on." And it could make it just a little bit interesting, man. That's why. So if the money's right, Brock Lesnar fight. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, they got off from a lot of money, but they got a lot of money these days. We went from UFC straight into the Ryan Garcia fight. What was your thoughts on the Garcia fight?
Man, let me tell you something. When it was a lot of press conferences, a lot of presses going on. When
it seems like his home team is shitting on him. His own managers.
It's trouble in paradise, as they say with this one, man. When you got the top brass at Golden Boy somehow disagreeing with you when you he could fight or he could be special. It doesn't make you look good. But Ryan Garcia, everybody knows right now is one of the premier boxers who has been using social media as his tool to get him where he wanted to go. If you remember, if everybody thinks back, Ryan Garcia was the one dodging the weaving real fast. Everybody was taking the body shot challenge with the pads on, couldn't take more than 3. And then to go into this fight with Duarte is no slouch. Duarte came in there with all of the leeway, basically going in his direction because Ryan Garcia is coming off of the loss from Tank, which of course fighting Tank is not a joke in itself. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And then plain as day, we saw it all. It was pretty much an even fight. I would give basically, let's say 4 rounds to 3 in Ryan Garcia's favor, and in the 8th round, bam, knocks him out. This is something that has been questioned about Ryan Garcia's power as much. Ryan Garcia can score points. Ryan Garcia can jab you out of the gym. He can land punches on you, and is very good defensively with his head movement. But in this case, Duarte left it open just enough to get tapped, and it's one of those where, look, man, hey, pay me my money, Golden Boy. Hey, give me. I don't care which one of y'all want to do. Who wants to give me the money? You want to give? You gotta pay Ryan Garcia, and he deserved it for that one.
Yeah, and then the fight I was actually intrigued the most, and we didn't even really talk about it last week. I forgot about it. Is the Eddie Alvarez versus Mike Perry and bare knuckle? Yeah. I mean, geez, does anybody look? Mike Perry's the poster child for BKFC? I mean, what he did to Eddie Alvarez's face, broke his face. I mean, multiple orbital bones, his orbital bone and another face fracture. Just made, they had to call the fight because, Mike was going to kill poor Eddie, and now he's the king of violence as Mike Perry. I mean, does anybody fit the better description for BKFC than the crazy ass man that is Mike Perry?
Listen, man, when I I didn't watch it live. Of course, I watched it post fight, and I'm like, it's first of all, let's say this: BKFC is having a good run of valid fights. You know what I'm saying? They were throwing at one point. It seemed like they were just throwing anybody who fought in MMA out there with no gloves, and it was looking really nasty. But now I see it taking on a life of its own. And this is for me as a fight fan. There's probably somebody who's like, oh, BKFC is the best. It's real boxing or whatever. I can understand why, but
it's entertaining.
I'm about to say Mike Perry is entertaining. Mike Perry is entertaining. Ain't no lie about that. But to see the fight get to the point where I'm like, all right, they got to stop it. They gonna stop it. They go.
Yeah.
But
kudos to his corner for for stopping it.
Yeah, because sometimes they don't pay that enough attention.
Yeah.
Andrade Andrade a week ago against Benavidez, his corner stopped the fight because he was getting pounded in by a freaking monster. So this adds to me saying, look, the corners are getting better, in my mind, especially when it comes to boxing and BKFC, because, in the UFC, they got doctors, they're checking you the entire time. But in boxing and in BKFC, your corner is basically the only thing that can stop you from possibly losing more than just the fight that night.
Yeah, it was incredible. Afterwards, he not afterwards, but the next day on Twitter, he called out none other than legendary game-bred Jorge Masvidal. I was listening to this interview on the MMA Hour, and he said he knows that Jorge, his hands are kind of messed up and doesn't really, but he's the original, right? Like him and Kimbo, the original old school, bare knuckle. He said they could make a lot of money. And I thousand believe, hey, sign me up for, Game Bread and Mike Perry,
right?
In BKFC. To me, that fight makes perfect sense. I know Game Bread's kind of under the UFC contract, but if he got out of that and went into, BKFC for one fight, man, and they could co-promote because Game Bread has his own BKFC type.
I was just saying, yeah, he's got a Game Bread Promotions too. So
yeah, so why not do a little co-promotion, BKFC and Game Bread, and co-promote that with, that would be a fun fight. I think a lot of people would tune in. That's a entertaining fight with two guys who we know can throw hands.
Yeah, listen, man. I think that was part of the whole thing with Jorge in the first place. When you train your mind to stand up and bang a lot. And Jorge, one of his main deficiencies was anything on the ground, anything wrestling, anything in jiu-jitsu. But when you just say, hey man, look, you remember that time? I'm from that era when YouTube first came out. You would type in backyard brawl, and,
right?
And it was
after that, it was 2 girls, 1 cup all at the same time, right?
that was the other window. You would click on one and then click on and then click on the other one. But yeah, Jorge Masvidal in BKFC, I think you got that lined up. It's a big money grab. Jorge hasn't been active, of course, in the UFC. He laid his gloves down after his last loss. Kissed his daughters, and that's a beautiful thing. But hey, when it comes to money, and then when it comes to these fighters, they itching to do something.
Yeah,
and I think that this would be a good one.
Yeah, and why not? Why not do that one? That would be a fun one to see. Other than that, I don't really know what's left for who's next for Mike Perry, but I'll tune in if it's 2 big names on that BKFC card. I usually try to tune in because it's fun to watch, and I know it's going to be a bloody death. And Mike Perry is the perfect fit for them. They're promoting him well. So kudos to both of them. Before we get out of here, let's look at it this week. The fun never stops in the UFC. We got another card. This card was supposed to be in China, and it just didn't come to fruition. But nonetheless, it's a pretty decent fight card. We got Tim Elliott versus Sama Marjay, and then we got Nasrat and Jamie Malarkey, and then we got Anthony Smith and Khalil Roundtree, and then the main event, Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez. Let's start with that main event. who you like here is Song. Let me pull back up the rankings here. They're both ranked. I believe Song is 8 and Gutierrez is 15th in the bantamweight class here. Let's look here. Now my phone's just frozen.
Take your time. Hold on, wait, because I had it up just a minute
ago. There we go. Yeah, so Song is 7 and Gutierrez is 15th. So who you like here?
Well, when it comes to two things, that I know is that Gutierrez has been one of those guys that you got to keep an eye out for. The stand-up game for him has been working well, and of course, but somehow, some way, he always gets he finds a way to get guys down. Song Yudong is one of those is another fighter in which I have yet to see a boring fight from.
He knocks people out.
Yeah, Song Yudong will magically find a way to go ahead and take you up out of that ring in that first or that second round if you're underestimating his prowess in the ring, because of course he's had a couple fights, well, not a couple, but several fights in foreign promotions overseas. I'm thinking Song Yudong in this one, and I'm not seeing it going past the second round because I see the slip up happening where we're thinking we're going to wrestle, and listen, man, that little guy got some heavy hands. So I'm seeing Song Yudong on this one, seriously.
Yeah, both these guys coming off a win off their last fight. Before that, both of them had just lost, but then both of them before that were both winning. Song Yudong's a heavy favorite in this fight. He's minus 400. So he's the heavy favorite, and I'm right there with you. Give me Song and a knockout in about the second round. I think Song's going to win this one.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I listen, and that's no knock on Gutierrez because Gutierrez is wild out here in the streets when it comes to mixed martial arts. But this one right here, we got to go ride with my guy Song Yudong. Seriously, man.
Yeah, then we got a couple of light heavyweight fighters ranked as again. We got Alex Smith, who is ranked. What was Alex Smith? He is ranked, or Anthony Smith. I don't know. I said Alex. Anthony Smith ranked number 8 versus Khalil Roundtree ranked number 11 in the co-main here. What's your thoughts on here? Is Anthony Smith is surprisingly the underdog at plus 190 over a guy in Khalil Roundtree who's kind of on the up and this up and comer a little bit.
Well, Anthony Smith is one of those guys when I'm thinking about a more versatile fighter. We've seen Anthony Smith come from behind the MMA desk, come out and take a win. Last time I noticed something, but Anthony Smith, of course, is one of those cats where you gotta watch out for his wrestling. Anthony Smith's ground game is no joke.
Yep.
And right now, when I'm thinking about Khalil Roundtree, is it possible that we could somehow see a TKO or a submission stoppage from his ground game? That's a huge I think underestimated part of his game. So for me right here, I got to go with Roundtree on this one. I'm seeing it as and this is one where it could literally go either way. And I love the idea that Ant Smith, you know what I'm saying, is his story period. If you do your research,
could have been the light heavyweight champion of the world, right? I mean, because Jones hits him in the head when he's down, right. He could have won the title much like Aljo did the first time when he beat Peter Yan.
Yeah, that was definitely a possibility for him. I mean, 55 fights in all, he's no slouch. And then when I'm thinking about guys getting finished, guys getting submitted, guys getting knocked out, I really got to give it to Khalil. And that's where I'm thinking this one goes. Now don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow maybe the styles clash and we just end up going all rounds with this one. But I'm going with Khalil somehow pulling out the victory.
I'm right there with you. I'm just not a fan of Anthony Smith for some odd reason. I'm just not.
It's too boring for you. You like the rowdy guys, man.
And the shit he says on the microphone, I'm just not.
Yeah, he puts on his glasses and he turns into Clark Kent, you know?
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of him. I don't, and that should be. He's from like Kansas, so you know we're both Midwest kids, but I just can't get behind him. Khalil Roundtree reminds me of a movie star. I don't know if you ever seen the movie, man, the old Iron Eagles. He's the black guy that's in those movies, and then you know where the plane pilots. And what's that movie? He's in this movie with James Wood where he's a boxer. I can't fucking think of it. It's an old school boxing movie. And James Woods like got out of prison. He manages this boxer, and this guy's got to fight all 12 of these dudes from this hometown. I can't think of the guy, but nevertheless, I'll text it to you when
we'll figure it out. Yeah, let me type it in. James Woods boxing movie.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see what we get. Google. We good because we're gonna figure this out because I know what movie you're talking about, and it's making me scratch.
Hey, look at the black dude. The black dude looks like Khalil Roundtree.
Okay. Digstown?
Digstown, yeah.
Yeah. Lou Gossett.
Yeah, don't he look like Lou Gossett?
You look like a young Lou Gossett.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Lou Gossett Jr. You're right about that one. You're right. Yeah.
Khalil Roundtree kind of looks like him.
Right.
You seen that movie though? You seen Digstown?
Listen, I seen a piece of it because I got memories from wasn't like James Woods like dirty or something like that in there somewhere.
They went to they were hustling the town to try to and hustling this dude who was he was kind of a jerk and a criminal anyway. Right. But yeah, they were kind of hustling. James Woods they were kind of hustlers. Him and Lou Gossett,
Lou Gossett Jr.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good movie though, man. It's a good movie. Yeah, Roy Palmer. Yeah.
Yo, hey, check this out. If you can give us a review of Digstown in the comments, we got something special for you.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic, dude. Man, it's been so long since I watched that movie, but there's a point in the scene in the movie. He's like, I need you to, Lou Scott's roots at James Woods. He's like, I need you to motivate me. He's like, and he's fighting this white guy that's just piecing him up. He's like, you're black. He's like, I said, I need you to motivate me.
That should be motivation enough. Yeah. That's crazy. Look, hey, do you know what we should do? Maybe next week we should come in and think about tell everybody a couple of our favorite MMA or boxing movies, and excluding Rocky. We can say Rocky a million times.
Oh yeah. But that Digstown's a classic if you catch it. But I like Roundtree too. Roundtree's coming off of 4 straight wins, by the way. So I like Roundtree to win that one. So I just wanted to get over the main event and the co-main there. But it's a nice little pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view, but nice little fight night as well. So.
Yeah, man, you said it. When I'm looking at a couple of things right now, he finished 14 opponents, knocked 6 of them out, 7 TKOs, submits 1, got 5 by decision, 4 unanimous decisions, and 1 split. That looks like a really good percentage of, look, I take guys out. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he does.
I'm definitely running with Khalil. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Smith is very much a contender in his own right. He got up there. Great guy on the ground, jiu-jitsu, but I'm looking at Khalil taking him out before it even gets too far on the ground where Anthony Smith could put him in a Kimura or something rear naked.
Yeah, we got the great veteran Tim Elliott, guy who's been around. He's fight short notice fight at that against some of Marjay as well. So Tim Elliott's actually the favorite at -145 on that fight. Or wait, no, that was a different fight. They don't have the odds out for the Tim Elliott fight, but they don't. But nonetheless, Whit, before we get out of here, you got anything you want to shout out? Any shows you're putting out, or what you got going on the rest of the week, brother?
Hey man, Wednesday is my last day, but we did a great show yesterday on the Rec Room Sports Podcast. We had Bo from Football Talk with Bo. We had
shout out.
We got my Uncle Scott out here doing some handicap.
That's Grandpa Scott. That's Grandpa Scott.
Grandpa Scott from doing a little handicapping. And we had a TikTok content creator champ, aka Undisputed World Champ. The guy's got 14.7 thousand followers 1.1 million likes, and he does nothing but football takes. Big Georgia fan, big Falcon fan. If you get a chance, go check us out. The guys at the Rec Room Sports, man. We had a great show yesterday. So, and of course, I'm looking forward to coming back, doing more MMA, talking more boxing, and more head kicks and haymakers, man.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern as well. I'll be back with the boys on the LTS show tomorrow night on the LTS network. We'll be making our Thursday night picks, week 14 picks.
Are we really going to pick that game tomorrow?
we picked the game. We picked the game on Monday. We all ride and die with your Steelers. So
thank you. At least something good. Jesus Christ.
But nonetheless, shout out. I got a shout out real quick. Caitlin Clark, my girl from Iowa, non-MMA related, just scored her 3,000th career point. So, shout out. But I'll be back tomorrow with the boys on the LTS show and on the LTS network at 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. So we'll see you then, folks. It's been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers for Whit and myself, Bodkins. We will catch you next time. I'm going to hit that outro. You guys have a good rest of the week and great night, great fights.
Peace.